Welcome to the breakdown.
Cut me some slack before I tie the noose!
It's 2019. We've been forced to watch many things happen in this world and this country. Things ranging from political outrage, the earth falling apart, and a drug epidemic that stems deeper than just the drugs and addicts, deep into the pharmaceutical companies that get away with what they do. Stray from the Path, one of the most socially and politically active bands in the heavy music scene, shows up right on time to give us a new take on the bones of contention that we are forced to watch. Enter Internal Atomics, a record that still sticks to the usual Stray from the Path dialogue, but is in a presentation that is easier to swallow for people who aren't exactly in the same boat as the quartet from New York. Stray from the Path has been busy at work for 4 albums now, speaking of important issues that need some fixins. Issues that present themselves in the likes of Badge and a Bullet or Black Friday on the album Anonymous. Tracks that speak of unlawful murder and slaughtering of minorities by the hands of law enforcement in the United States, or materialism, maximism, overconsumption, and being a slave to capitalism. We were granted with cuts that speak of the unjustified spying of regular citizens directed by the NSA or GCHQ, and the constant complaining of the privileged in the Western and developed world, as well as the dissatisfaction of privileged white people that leaves a bad taste in the mouths, while the rich white kid uses social media as a platform to boost their agenda, as opposed to actually caring about the problem at hand. These cuts and more in the likes of Subliminal Criminals. We were then shown a very aggressive and abrasive take on social issues on Only Death Is Real, with tracks such as Goodnight Alt-Right and The House Always Wins. 2 songs that dig deep into the problems and affairs in American politics. Songs that talk about the constant and continuing issue of white nationalism and Nazi resurrection, the problems of
hegemony,
and the control that the government holds over us citizens, as the government acts excessively like a for-profit business as opposed to a governing body that is responsible for the constituents. Stray from the Path has taken their platform and released phenomenal music and quality lyrical content, albeit in an abrasive, harsh, and disagreeable way to some. But when considering Internal Atomics, we see the contents of the record delivered in a sense of community, coming together and gathering. Fire walk with me. Let's do this together. Internal Atomics is also an album created in a way to serve and help us grow ourselves. The music is aggressive and the lyrics are actionable, mindful, and presented in ways that anyone can relate to. Drew York is quoted from an interview with Hard Noise: "We want people to be able to connect with the record more universally, in a more personal way. It goes beyond politics and all of that. It's more of a humanitarian issue. If you look at your neighbor, a lot of people only think, is their house bigger? Is their car better? What can I do to match that? It's like, no, only look at your neighbor's bowl to see if they have enough." It starts with that mentality. Among a lot of things that Stray from the Path is saying on this record, that's the main thing that they're wanting to push. A few of my favorite takes from this record are Ringleader, Second Death, Beneath the Surface, and Actions Not Words. Ringleader is a track that speaks of being woke in a sense. The refrain of this track is thinking like everyone else is not really thinking. This track also samples from George Carlin: "When you're born in this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show. And when you're born in America, you're given a front row seat." The freak show is regular people giving up consciousness to things like God, technology, and the government. But there are some of us who sit in the front row seat with a notebook taking observations and being present, whereas most other folks are a part of the freak show. Stray from the Path takes this approach and uses their platform to pull the willing out of the freak show and into the note-taking audience. And on an individual basis, this takes self-awareness, considerate thought, and mental prowess. Second Death is a direct call-out to the Catholic Church and their disgusting and inappropriate treatment of children. Beneath the Surface being a slower-paced song that has an extremely sad, helpless, and depressing mode to it. The song shares one of the strongest narratives I've ever seen in the heavy music genre, as Stray from the Path speaks about a few characters, one being a single mother who is mistreated at her day job because of the mother being unreliable due to the fact that she is a single mom of 3. Deadbeat father nowhere to be found. 2 being a teenager who lives with parents that refuse to acknowledge the cultural differences of their neighbors, speaking less of them, but also locking the teenager out of the house for being in a non-heterosexual relationship. The chorus of this song builds on the notion that some of us have deep problems that are not so black and white to those on the outside. The guitar solo that Williams wrote expands the minor mode even further, giving this breakdown and track the Breakdown Award for the record. Actions Not Words is a track for self-reflecting. Stop speaking of thoughts and prayers. Stop talking of the concerns regarding those who have differences than yourself. Actually act. Action makes the change, and through this change we can change the world. I love and live for this, especially after catching this band live on Halloween. Drew specifically stated that they are using their platform to spread awareness, build discussion, and this band is advocating for the obvious problems and controversies we have in the world, especially in the United States. Stray from the Path has done this for many years now, and they've doubled down even harder with Internal Atomics, an album that presents these issues and more in the most honest and truthful package I've ever seen a band do. Actions truly speak louder than words, and that's why we see this band traveling to Kenya on a humanitarian effort to help these areas and other areas that are less fortunate than ourselves in the developed world. Stray from the Path is considerably unique by a lyrical standard and by musical standards. No other band sounds like these guys, even though Stray from the Path has been upholding this style of music since Anonymous, an album that has solidified who we know them to be to this day. This band is in their own realm genre-wise. We know that Rage Against the Machine is a strong influence with lyrical samples and Something in the Water, and a previous cover of Rage Against the Machine themselves. We see that there is without a doubt no other band that is standing next to Stray from the Path at this point. Personally, I absolutely love the creative guitars and musicality that this band brings to the table with every album, but especially on Internal Atomics. Thomas Williams developing and throwing down guitar riffs that utilize the entire neck, with chug patterns that go above and beyond in melodic and counter-melodic structure. Groovy, heavy, and bouncy riffs with heavy synchronization that keeps the head bobbing and moving are paired with intense, vehement, and impassioned lyrics by Drew York, whom of which gives us his unmistakable hip-hop style screams and flows and captivating hooks and choruses. Commanding and moving one-liners are shouted loud, examples of which are the previously mentioned thinking like everyone else is not really thinking, along with What Happens When the Cross Falls, Fire Walk With Me, and of course, Change the World. To expand the tonality of Internal Atomics, we even catch Matt Honeycutt from Kublai Khan, go watch that review, and Brandon Murphy from Counterparts to build the texture and tones of this record in the likes of Double Down and Kickback. Over the course of 10 tracks, 31 minutes, I find myself finding more things to enjoy within Internal Atomics. I have nothing negative to go on about for this record, and it's truly a good album. I love these guys, I love their music, and I love this album. However, I am hoping that this album upholds the replay value for the next 2 years as opposed to Only Death Is Real. I give this album 8 social awareness movements out of 10. How did you enjoy it? Let me know in the comments and tell me who you'd like me to review next. You know the drill. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell if you enjoyed. Thank you. Hey, pup. Hey, you're so pretty. Hi. I love you, but I do this right now. He's so cute. I love our dog.